Hello, everyone. It's Chris here. Tamara is busy, obviously. She is out with Rebel right now with a book signing tour. And so you're stuck with me today. I believe we're live right now. There we go. We can hear some people. Excuse the delay, everyone. I don't know if I'm on here by myself right now. I've got some guests lined up and we were having some technical issues earlier. So I just want to see, and I can't seem to stream this. I'm in the truck right now. I'm out trucking. I'm back in Saskatchewan after a quick trip to South Dakota and a reload in North Dakota this morning. Got tied up for the morning. And we're back in Saskatchewan now, headed for the Saskatoon region with a tractor for one of my customers. So for some reason, I'm in the show, but I can't see our guests in the waiting room. We were just chatting. Tasha, are you still in there? We're gonna have to stream this to Big Red's account afterwards, I guess, because I don't see how. I thought I have everything set up on my laptop, but maybe I was mistaken. So we are having a little bit of troubles here. I'm trying to do this while I'm playing on my laptop, so excuse me, everyone. Usually I can see people in the StreamYard system. You can see the people that are down on the bottom there. We've just had everybody up there, and as soon as we went live, I lost everybody. So unfortunately, you're stuck with me right now, myself and I, and you all. So I literally just got in. I just got parked about 15 minutes ago. I got stuck in North Dakota for a little while this morning while I was waiting for permits from Montana. And so that put me a little bit behind. The border went really well today. I'm hauling a used piece of equipment, so I had to do what they call the 72-hour clearance with U.S. Customs before I could cross into Canada. So I'm at a loss right now with logging into my stuff here. So you'll have to bear with me here until we get some technical things fixed while I fix and log in here so we can stream it out to everybody. This is the trouble with trucking and then trying to do this show. Tamara is obviously out. I believe she's in Calgary right now. So I'll ask for your patience while I try and get things logged in and under wraps here. It's been a busy last little while. Jonathan has been out trucking like crazy. He's hauling sprayers out of Benson, Minnesota, back to Swift Current. And I am I did a combine to South Dakota, of course. I'm going to just try and log into my Big Red account here so I can stream it out. And it's telling me that I can't log into that account. So some reason I am kind of messed up here. So we'll accept it. This is obviously streaming on all the other platforms. I have lost everybody, so it's usually better when Tamara's here, isn't it? Then you can at least, she can fill the gap while I'm trying to do other stuff. So, and Tamara just texted the group chat and said, "How can I help? You could be here because we're having troubles." This is not the Chris show. This is the house arrest. Although I'm in house arrest right now in Big Red, and Zippy is sound asleep on the passenger seat here, waiting for me to take him out for his nightly pees. So, for some reason, I can't see anybody. Okay, if we can do this, I'll bring Jay and with tonight's guests. We're going to bring Jay Vanderwier on. Jay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Chris.
Good. Okay, help me out, buddy. Fill the conversation. We have Sanch in the background too. Sanch Diebel. is one of the truckers from North Battleford, Saskatchewan that was with us on convoy. She traveled all the way out to Ottawa. Jay Vanderwier, as most people know. Jay, you had the black Freightliner. You were front and center for convoy, were you not? Do you want to give the listeners a little bit of an insight on what your role was and why you went to Ottawa?
Sure. Yeah, I got lucky enough to be at what I called 002 Wellington. Mike in the Red Western Star was at 001 because he was right beside Peace Tower. And then we were the second truck beside him. And we came a day earlier than the West, so we kind of snuck in there, I think. And actually, I felt like we took your spot, to be honest.
Oh
But
gosh,
but
it was
anyway,
just
when we've realized what we were in one of the best pieces of real estate in the world at the time, then I had a shed on the back of my flatbed, and that's what we were going to live in for the weekend, is kind of how we figured. And then a weekend or so, we built a media platform on the top of it, thinking, well, we got the best spot in the world, like let's share the truth. And I remember we invited, like, at the time we were tweeting out, somebody who has way more skills than I do in that was tweeting out things like Elon Musk or Donald Trump or whatever, you're invited to have an interview here in Ottawa. Never happened, but yeah, so that's that became
it did.
quite the
Your trip
thing.
is quite famous because of the broadcasting from Dave Paisley,
Live,
right?
live from the
Live
shed,
live
yeah.
from the shed. Dave's kind of disappeared in the last number of years. I really missed listening to his podcast and his talking. I know Dave had a little bit of a rough time with the amount of trolls online and the amount of hate that came his way. It's sad to see because he was definitely a voice for a lot of people, especially through Convoy. A
Yes.
big shout out to him.
Yeah, he's doing well. I do speak with him once in a while, and he's doing well. But yeah, he just wanted to step away from that. I thought he had a role maybe in the future, in his future life, as a reporter of some sort. He was really good at speaking and sharing what was important, especially at that time.
He was, yes, and it's sad to see that it comes down to that. You know, you see a lot of people come on here, and all of a sudden they just disappear, and there is a lot of hate that comes your way. You know, as soon as you put yourself out there on social media as a personality, there's people out there that I've got death threats. My family has had death threats. It's sad, it's sickening, but I keep reminding most people, you know, you just got to stick with it and ignore the hate. You try to ignore the hate. I love to troll way too much, of course, and it's not what this show is about. So tell me why you went to Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 years ago already, but try to put myself back in that frame of mind. But it was just 2 years of stupidity. I started out wearing masks and kind of hearing stuff like, let me back up, I guess. I just heard stuff on the news that maybe stuff was happening in the world and whatever. So when you went in a store or something, you had to wear a mask, and yeah, you had to social distance, and we would stand in the corner at work and talk about it, and we're all just perplexed. What's going on, And then it was just going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then it was going to be this, and then it was going to be this, and now you can't visit your aging grandparents in the home. You have to look through the window, and it's just getting stupider and stupider as it went. And then you started hearing stories of people having mental breakdowns and things like that, and people having weddings and funerals with not not everyone allowed to go. And if you did go, now your neighbors maybe were um, tattletaling on you. And we saw videos of police officers tasing a kid in Calgary that was playing pond hockey. And anyway, so all that stuff, eventually we heard this convoy was going, and it was wintertime, and it's slower at work in the wintertime. And I thought, hey, that's something I can do. I remember distinctly, Chris, sitting in a excavator seat on a job site, and I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, "You got to go. You got to go." So didn't know what I was going to do. I called a few people, wondered who would go with me, and maybe we'll go for the weekend, and then it'll be over, you know. And then my coworker Luke Lubinsky said, "Well, why don't you take the Freightliner?" And I said, "Okay, well, I don't got a bunk on there. Where am I going to sleep?" He says, "Oh, just put an ice shack on it or something." And then my brother, he sells Amish-made sheds, so I asked him if I could borrow a shed, and my dad and mom helped me install a little porta potty in the front corner, which became very well used during the convoy, thanks to the city not allowing us to actually bring in and service regular porta potties for all those crowds. So again, that whole being treated like animals had been going on for a couple of years, and then they doubled down while we were in Ottawa and just called us names and didn't let us have bathrooms and all that crap. So yeah, that's where it started, and then that's why I ended up staying for the 3.5 weeks.
It almost felt like the government, provoked us into taking that stand. I think about it quite frequently, what they did to us and how they tried to demonize us in legacy media and tear us apart and make us sound like white supremacists and misogynistic people. It became a power struggle over, Ottawa is our capital. People are allowed to protest the government, and that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we were trying to do. And the government trampled on our constitutional freedoms by not listening to us, number one. And to this day, 4 years, no accountability for the way government treated Canadian citizens who were tired of this. And the stories we heard of that one gets me all the time, is the care homes and the hospitals watching your loved one pass away on an iPad. I know I've spoke with so many people out here across the country that happened to, and I don't know.
Well, yeah. And then, like you said, I just, out of my own free will, I came and I joined the convoy. I didn't even make it in time to the meeting point. I didn't really know Harold Jonker was our captain. I knew him, but I didn't know him. Turns out now him and his whole family were best buddies, and we're neighbors about 5 kilometers away from each other. But before that, you knew of these people, but now 4 years later, you consider them brothers, right? And anyway, I went on my own free will, joined the convoy in Vineland. Didn't know what to expect. First overpass I go under, there's like 1,000 people standing on the bridge with flags and banners, and you're like, holy shit, this is something. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I knew you guys were coming. I'd been watching you a bit coming across country. And then our convoy from Niagara was just growing and growing and growing, and every overpass was more people. And me and my cousin who was sitting beside me, I said, man, it's getting dusty in here. Like, we're crying. Like, this is crazy. Hey? Like,
so yeah. Do you feel like,
yeah, beautiful.
do you feel like we owed something to those people standing on those overpasses in that cold, frigid weather? I felt like when we went from Medicine Hat all the way to Ottawa, I felt like the people that were standing on the side of the highway, we owed it to them to follow through with this. That was the way I felt about it. And a lot of them told us in our travels that, don't leave until something's done. And rolling into Ottawa like that was on my conscience a lot. We owed it to the people that we were standing up for at that time.
Agreed. I thought originally we were going to drive through the city, honk our horns a little bit, end up at a truck stop out of town, grab a bus in the morning, go in with some placards and signs, and stand on the grass there, and then he would come out and talk to us and say, "Hey guys, I'm trying my best," and we'd say, "Okay, that's good enough for us. We're just easygoing Canadians, we're not going to put up too much of a fuss." But then he called us all kinds of names and wanted to come up and see us, and got fake COVID so he could hide.
Oh, got an echo there. Sanch?
Can you hear me?
The echo is bad. Sanch is having... Oh, now I can hear myself echoing. I hate that. There's nothing worse than coming on a show and you're like, I do this every now and then. I was just talking to Sanch backstage before this happened. You come on, my something setting in my computer at home changes and I can't log into anything. And then I come in the truck here where I think everything's on already on my laptop and I'm not streaming to my Big Red account. So wherever this is streaming right now, it is what it is. I will share it out afterward. Can't do much about it here from the road. This is the trouble with having a job and not working your tail off all the time. And so
Nice.
ideally, Jay, the amount of people in Ottawa that were coming up to us and telling their stories, and the amount of support we had in the city, and the amount of, the joyfulness that we've seen, and the amount of people actually living their lives again, was a was a that was something that kept us going, was it not?
Yeah, absolutely. Like just driving in and all those overpasses, and then I think the first truck stop we stopped at, I forget exactly where, but there was this huge crowd of people bringing us lunch, like buns with meat and cheese and chili, and uh, it's like wow, like this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts, and everybody's hugging and high fiving and smiling. We hadn't seen smiles in 2 years, right? And just like holy cow, this is bigger than we thought. And then when we got to Ottawa, yeah, just the amount of people, not only coming into the city, but locals that would come out uh, every night and say, "Hey, thanks for coming. We needed something. We needed some hope." And yeah, I say, like, truthfully, the reason I stayed as long as I did was because I had grandmothers, and I like European grandmothers, like ladies that have been through a lot in their lives,
Yep.
coming up saying you have to stay, like you're giving the country hope, you're giving the world hope, and you can't leave. And so, on one hand, you're getting told by the police force and the prime minister that you're no good for nothing, and worse than that. And then on the other hand, you have real people telling you real stories of hurt, and they're saying please stay. So it's a no-brainer for any common person. Of course you're going to stay. um, and so, I stayed till the cops told me I had to go at gunpoint. And then well, they didn't say go at that point. They said you're under arrest. And I willingly gave them my hands and said, okay, well, if that's where we got to go as a country, and that's where we got to go right now, and so be it, right?
So you were arrested, you were charged. What were you charged with?
I had 4 charges, and 2 of them were dropped within a year. But I got stuck with 2 mischief charges, one personally and then one corporately, something to that effect. I still honestly, as a common working man, I don't understand how they got a guilty verdict on that. Um, what I heard in court, what I saw the lawyers talking about, and the judge, it still doesn't make sense to me today. Like that they could actually pin a crime on me, but they did.
I think it was the doubling down of the government on it. Yeah, same here. I sat in that courtroom for, basically 2 years and listened to witnesses and stuff that didn't pertain anything to me. And the amount of stuff that the Crown was just throwing was laughable at sometimes. It was, sad in the next. So they got you on a mischief. Obviously, you were found guilty on a mischief. What was you did the sentence, didn't you? A little similar to the one that I'm having right now, right?
Yeah, I mean a lot less, but back to the laughable moments. We had a they were showing a ton of videos of my own videos that I created. I mean, I had never done, maybe in my life I had done 2 Facebook lives in the past. Just uh, I did a rant one day about driving. From trucking, I did a rant, and and a few of my friends and family laughed and whatever. It was funny, and I did that maybe twice, 3 times. And then I got to Ottawa and I said, somebody's got to document this stuff. Like, this is nuts. I got to show the people home what's actually happening, because I was watching the news just the same as the next guy. And it was lies. It was totally not what was going on. So anyway, I made these Facebook Lives, and then in the courtroom, they're showing them. And then a bunch of people are supporting me in the courtroom, of course. And there's a scene where we're visiting the camp outside of town there at what was that called?
Embrum, Exit 88.
Exit 88. Yeah. So my dad and sister had come to visit, and mom and David Paisley was with us. And so we're walking around, and then I'm talking to some lady there, or some girl, and I mentioned, oh, and by the way, Dave here, he's single. Like, just something like that. Well, anyway, the whole courtroom bursts out laughing, because we're remembering this. Like, this is a great memory. And then we got a stern warning, like, no laughter in the courtroom. This is serious. And it's like we're different people. We're in a different world. We're regular, hardworking country people. I mean, we like to have fun. We don't really, like, we can spot bullshit pretty quick usually, and we're living in it. And then here we are in the courtroom, and we're getting reprimanded for a bit of laughter, So anyway, but yeah, my sentence was a month and a half of house arrest and a month and a half of curfew. And then the judge said, much like you, he said, you can go to work, because we want to keep getting your tax dollars. That would be nice. But since you're supporting us, let's keep getting that. And then you can farm as well, because we don't, So I'm thinking, well, that's all I do is I work and I farm, and I go to church on Sunday. And he even gave me 5 hours a week or something that I go shopping or something. So really, there was, I say it like this, like, he gave me the most lenient sentence he could, because I think in truth, he looked out at his courtroom and he saw this farmer that was not a criminal, but because of his position in a politically charged courtroom, he had to do what he had to do. And so he gave me the easiest sentence he could give me without like taking away much. So I didn't, my life didn't really change much. So people say, oh boy, you had a sentence and everything. And it wasn't that bad. Right. And yeah, I'm a criminal now, according to my record, but so far too, that hasn't really affected me.
Have you had any trouble crossing the border into the States? Have you tried with the criminal
I
record?
have, yeah, I've been across 3 times, just with the family, and never once a question about it or anything.
No.
So I
We were
wonder
kind
if
of
I tried to go in the truck, if that would be a different story. I don't know, but
the judge in our sentence, when she read the sentence out, she said that a misdemeanor charge was not something that the U.S. looks at as a sentence or a criminal record worthy of being banned from going into the States. So she kind of handed that down, knowing that it shouldn't affect me. I guess if you find the wrong guard, it possibly could, but I just, I'm prepared for it if it does happen. But most of the time, if you're barred from the States, it's because you've been found guilty of a violent crime. DWI would be considered a violent crime, somewhere injury, B&E, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, Sanch, is your mic working?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Everybody, this is Sanch. She's
Hi.
one of our North Battleford, Saskatchewan truckers that went to Ottawa. And I guess, why did you go, Sanch? Did you plan on taking part in the full 3 weeks?
No, I had no idea actually. What inspired me to go, other than all the restrictions and COVID things that were going on, is when I heard about the mandates they were putting for the truckers to cross the border. And I thought, this just doesn't make sense. Why would truckers crossing the border have to be vaccinated, quarantine, testing done when you're solo, sat in your truck, go to your destination? Most of the time you don't get out. not mixing with other people, and it didn't make sense. And I spoke to a former student of mine, and she just got herself a truck, and I said, you know what? I think we should go on this convoy, and seen a little bit of it on Facebook and didn't know what to expect. Wasn't prepared for anything. We were prepared to go down to Balgony and meet the Alberta and BC, the West crew, and go for the night. And what ended up 3.5 weeks in Ottawa.
That is probably one of my favorite stories that Nicole Hunt has told me. You know, she throws her 2 children in a truck that she'd owned for like a week or something like that. We're gonna go to Balgony and we're gonna come home. And then the next thing you know, I'm begging Nicole to leave Ottawa on the Saturday. I think it was Saturday. I was begging Nicole because, you know, Nicole, she had her 2 young kids, you know, early, not even one was I don't even know how Tyler would have been at that time, maybe 10?
Yeah, 10 and 6 or 10 and 8. And
Tyler and Emmett. And Nicole had a crying fest on the phone. I said, Nicole, it's time to go home. We're heading home on Saturday. Of course, I had, you know, court restrictions and the conditions that I had to leave on Saturday. And she's like, no, I want to stay and fight.
Yeah.
There was no place for it at that time when you got, you know, children in the truck. And she cried a little bit. And then you and Nicole, and I think there was about 7 or 8 trucks that went home from Ottawa together.
Yeah, we all went home together. Yeah.
It was a somber ride.
Sadly, exactly. And I always remember there was one, I can't remember the town, you might remember, because I think you were ahead of me, weren't you, on the convoy? And there was a guy stood there and he went like this as we all drove past. And we all had tears running down. It was an emotional roller coaster from the moment you left. You didn't know what to expect all the way along. I heard you talking earlier about the overpasses and the people who stood beside the roads day and night, and tears, and people coming up to your trucks and holding your hand and not letting go of your hand and saying, please stay, please stay. And it was just it was an emotional roller coaster for me. Yeah.
I found sandwiches. I found frozen sandwiches and cookies under the bed in the truck, because that was what, everywhere you went, somebody was handing you, you know, hot soup or sandwiches or pop or coffee. Like I said, I did a TikTok about this today, and I don't know if I could even find it up here, but I dropped the visor in the truck today just for something, and the Tim Hortons gift card.
Yes.
You know, there's two gift cards in here, and I don't know what's on them for the card, but you know, every now and then you get a reminder of Ottawa like that, and that's what Tim Hortons gift cards could probably. There was so many of them.
There was so many of them. Yeah. So and then for us, we just, you know, we literally, with the clothes we were in, we were just going overnight for one night. I actually had work and I had students. I'm an instructor, a class 1 instructor, and I had students here, and I said to my husband, I'm just going overnight, me and Nicole. I'll be back tomorrow. And then as soon as we met up with the West crew, I called and I said, actually, we're just going to go a little bit further east, you know, Winnipeg. I'll be back in a day or 2. And literally, we only had clothes. Didn't even have a hairbrush, nothing with us. Me and Nicole had to stop in Walmart and get some supplies. Didn't have a toothbrush, nothing. Just fly off the seat of our pants. Didn't know what to expect. And wow, you know, and like what he was saying, you know, the overpasses, and you're thinking, oh wow, there's a few people here, a few people there, and then the beeping of the horns, and a few people, and more, and the flags, and you're thinking, wow. You know, and it was real. It felt, wow, it's real, you know. And then all of a sudden, all this unity and everyone coming together, you had to be there to feel that, you know. It was amazing.
If the politicians could have seen what we've seen on our way to Ottawa, do you think that would have changed their mindset in having a conversation when we got there? Because I don't think they've seen any of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone has a heart in there, and if they were where we were at and saw the people and the little children, everyone, of course, I believe they would. Yeah.
Jay, how far of a drive is it from Niagara region to Ottawa for you on convoy, and how long do you think it took you?
Well, it's normally a 6-hour drive. I mean, we took a, I don't know, a good 12 hours to get there. Probably, like, it was a slow drive, right? We did so many. I forget where we slept the first night, but we stopped at a truck stop and then we finished the second day. But oh, what? Yeah, never mind. I just had a thought and it went away.
For us, I think we would average 60 to 70 kilometers an hour per day. So I
Yeah.
know our first stop was Belgoni. I'm sitting close to there right now, actually, coming in from the States. Our second night was Kenora, Ontario. Our third night was Thunder Bay, Ontario. You know, that's a, and then we were Sault Ste. Marie, and then Sault Ste. Marie right to just outside of Ottawa. And that drive usually takes you 2.5, 3 days. It took us, 5 days to get
5
there.
days. Yeah, 5 days. And Thunder Bay was where, wasn't that where the Hutterite followed us?
Yes, Manitoba.
Never forget that.
Headingley, Manitoba, I swear to this day, was the most emotional experience I think I've ever witnessed. I don't know.
Yes.
The people were lined up on both sides of the highway. RCMP called me. We were scheduled to stop at the Flying J in Headingley, Manitoba. RCMP called me and they said, you know what, this parking lot, there's 10,000 people here. You can't come in here. It's a safety hazard. And of course, we listened to law enforcement the entire time across there. And so we had to abort that. We actually parked south of the city on perimeter, lined up on a service road. And the Hutterites were supposed to feed us in that parking lot at the Headingley Flying J. And they followed us all the way to Kenora, Ontario, with cargo trailers, with hot meals and barbecues and cook stoves, and they fed us at like 11 o'clock at night in a cold parking lot. I remember the food was warm enough that you could actually warm your hands up.
Yes. Yeah, it was freezing. It was so cold. And I think I'm not sure if you guys were on the same street or me and Nicole got or diverted, but it was a heck of a hill.
Yes.
And sheer ice, and I couldn't make it to the top, and I was spinning out even with all my locks on. And I had to back right the way down and go around some detour way. Is that where you guys went?
I remember going up the hill, but maybe I was one of the first ones up it, so maybe I had traction at that time. But I remember thinking, I'm like, holy crap, we're downtown Kenora, Ontario here, and there's guys with 53-foot trailers behind us. How are they going to make this? But
it was tight in there. It was tight, but I just remember how cold it was and how wonderful and those people were to us.
I've actually stopped a couple times. It's the recreational center in Kenora where they put us up for the night. And I've, on my way back and forth with my 8 trips to Ottawa for trial in the last few years, I've stopped a couple times. I took my father out and I showed him a lot of the ins and the outs of the different places that, were memorable in Convoy. And that was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Just meeting those people.
Stands out to me as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So in the end of the day, Sanch, you were not arrested. You got out of there. You're hanging out with 2 convicted criminals here, so I just wanted to.
I'm seeing that. No, the day when it was move out or get your truck seized, I will always remember that morning. Early hours of the morning, and someone was hammering on my door. Hammering, get out, get out, get out. And I looked in my mirror, and 2 blocks behind me it felt like I was in where all the camel, in the desert, Afghanistan. And it was like a whole soldier, a whole fleet. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to get out. I've got to get out of here. And I didn't want to. I was like Nicole, I am staying here to the end. People have held my hand and not let go and said, please don't leave. And I felt obliged and wanted to be there for them, and they were all hanging on us being there. But I looked in my mirror and thought, wow, I'm going to get seized and arrested. and thought, okay, I'm going to try and get out of here. And I think we'd had more dumping of snow. And that was the next thing to try and get out of there. And I was just a couple of blocks from Parliament Hill downtown there.
Not in a residential area though, right? You were in the business district. I remember your truck work there,
That's right, in the business district. And, sadly and reluctantly, everyone said, you've got to go, you've got to roll. And so I rolled with the other trucks and rolled out of there. But I could see them, and that in my mirror there, and that was awful. And I thought, wow, I feel like I'm in some war zone coming, because it was horrible being
I'm
behind.
glad you did, because Jay obviously was arrested at his truck. So Jay, what
Yeah.
happened in your truck after you were arrested? Can you tell that story?
Yeah, I actually I was doing a live at the time, watching the troops come forward across Wellington, and then we were parked at Metcalf, and so then they kept moving. Well, then I saw Ben, the guy with the boom truck that we were using for a stage. They were beating him up, pushing him around, and they sprayed pepper spray in his eyes, and he wasn't resisting at all. They were just being rough, and I thought, oh wow, that's quite something. And then there was a guy in the truck with me. He said, oh, I'll stay with you. I said, well, that's just dumb. I says, there's only one guy needs to get arrested with each truck. But I said, we should have somebody with each truck. Like, that's kind of, we're making a stand. So I shook his hand. He got out, and I turn around and I hear, time to get out. And that's a policeman pointing his pistol at me. So, okay, yeah, I'll get out. Well, then I jumped down. No, I stood on my step with my phone, and then it's recording the whole time. And then he's yelling to get down. So I'm okay, I'm coming. And then they grabbed me with 6 guys or so, and they're throwing me around, and I just, all you hear on the phone is it's getting kicked out of my hand, and I'm just saying, everybody calm down, just calm down. And I just think that's so funny, because I'm just I'm the criminal, right? Like, I'm the bad guy, and I'm just like, calm down, just like, chill out, everybody. We're cool. We're like, no one's here to hurt you,
Yeah.
except you're here to
Protecting
hurt
your
me.
government.
But it's not. It was nuts.
Mhm.
So, and then they were telling me, get your hands behind your back. Well, my hands are pinned. One hand is pinned underneath me, and I'm kind of like, I'm a trucker. I don't know about you guys, but I can hardly move on a good day.
Yeah.
You get out of the truck, and you walk from the fuel island to the restaurant or something, and you're just like, okay, maybe by 50 feet in, okay, now I'm standing straight. Good. We're presentable again. But so I'm like, I can't, like, you got 6 of you on top of me, and I can't move my hand. Like, I don't know what you want from me. So I remember that, and then they stuck me in a paddy wagon after they processed me, and I sat there for 3 or 4 hours with one other gentleman, and he was a Frenchman, and he had come just for the day. He had lost his job, he had lost his girlfriend, he was a mental basket case, all from COVID restrictions. He was ready to commit suicide, he told me. Well, the reason I found that out, when we got to the police station, they ask questions when you're getting processed, and so one of the questions is like, do you have any symptoms of COVID-19? Blah 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 blah. Are you suicidal? Because they treat you differently inside, I guess, right? Guy says, well, I was up until today, and then I came here, and my faith in humanity was restored, and I just thought that was such a powerful
Mhm.
moment. And
Oh.
the two of us shared I asked him if I could pray with him, because I didn't know what else to do. And we had like, that was a hugely emotional thing too, right? Meanwhile, outside the paddy wagon, the 4 cops with us were discussing what they were going to do with all their overtime pay. One was going to do a kitchen reno, one was thinking about doing a bathroom reno maybe, and they were laughing and carrying on like just another day at work, right? And meanwhile, I'm having this moment with a guy who was maybe going to not be there tomorrow. And that was like, how come I was seeing all this, but those boys working their cop shift couldn't care less? So back to your point earlier, you guys were talking about, what if the politicians saw what we saw? I don't know if it would have changed anything. I had a neighbor call me. He was so angry. Um, he saw on the news that the Terry Fox statue had been defaced,
Mhm.
and I was parked right beside it. I could see it out of my passenger window. And I look out, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with it? And I see a sign in his hands, like the way the statue is, he can kind of hold a sign.
Yep.
And it says something like end mandates or something like that. And then,
mandate freedom.
Yeah. And
Yep.
he's got a flag draped around his shoulders, Canadian flag, which is like, I thought that is perfect. That would have been Terry if he was alive today, I think. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not like there's no spray paint, there's no FU, this or that. Okay. So I shared that with my neighbor, and he no, that's just wrong. I can't believe you'd stoop to that level, and blah blah blah. I said, can I invite you to come and just sit in my cab for 1 hour? I said, in fact, I will pay you $100 an hour. I remember telling him, I'll pay you $100 an hour if you would just come for a day. I just want you to feel it, see it, and then we'll talk. And he says, no, I don't need to. I can see what I need to see on the news.
Oh.
And this is a country neighbor, right? Like this. So this is the like, and I don't know if, like, I've tried to empathize with the others, like the other side in different political things, and I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm at the point where I'm like, well, I don't think we can, we can't do it. Like, we're just different. We're built different. I don't know. Anyway,
I know there's been like, I know it firsthand that I've been able to reason with somebody that was dead set against me, and meet them at a place of commonness, I guess, and not agree on everything and still be off base on everything, but at least have an understanding there. And I know I've done that a number of times, and I'm thankful for that experience, because it's kind of humbled me even more, knowing that I don't have any hate in my heart towards these people, but I sure see a lot of it from them. And when you look at especially the Terry Fox statue, he's a Canadian icon. I remember him as a kid. When I was, in school. I wasn't even in high school at that time. It was like, what year was that when he passed? It was in the 80s. When we see Palestinian protesters draping, the hijab around him, or the Pride community putting rainbow flags around him, there was no difference there between what, we did compared to what they did. And yet we were demonized in the media. And if you want to get a group of Canadians, to hate someone, make it sound like we demonized Terry Fox, and that's definitely the way to do it. The media did their propaganda extremely well.
Yeah.
I remember one time, sorry, growing up, for me, I'm obviously from England, and my parents, the news was on, every day, 6 o'clock every night, news would be on, watch the media. And that's what you believed back then. When I was in Ottawa, one of the days I was left the truck, I was about 2 blocks away, and there was these concrete boulders, across the street. And I was on foot walking along, and I could see these guys hammering up some plywood on storefronts. And I thought, oh, I wonder what's going on here. And there's the Global News van there. And apparently later on that evening, the truckers had been looting and been smashing the windows, and they were, putting all the plywood up, saying that we had done that. And it was like I'd walked into a Hollywood set, and it was all staged, and I saw it, witnessing it, and I was streaming it live with my cell phone, and then it shut down. I don't know where that actual video went that I had done, but I was right there, and I'm thinking, wow, and just setting us up. It was a Hollywood stage set, and I'm thinking, wow. But before that, and years ago, I would believe everything the media would say. But
we used to sit as a family. Our family would sit and have suppers and dinners together. We would watch the Flintstones from 12 o'clock till 12:30 on CTV, and then from 12:30 to 1 o'clock would be your Saskatchewan news, and it's 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever time it was. We would sit down as a family at the supper table, and the news would be on, and we discuss the current dates, and we trusted the media. That's how we were raised. Right now, none of my family members watch legacy media anymore, just because of what we've witnessed and what we've seen. It's sad.
Yes, very sad. But like you're saying, you have to be there to see that and believe it. You're nice. You're nice.
You're not the only one. Like, there was guys right there on Wellington too that saw some staged
Oh,
things going on. So yeah, it definitely
yeah,
was real. Yeah.
Were
yeah.
you part of the flag, that certain flag that came out of one of the hotel buildings? Did you witness that, or was that something that was
No,
off scene?
I didn't.
No.
No, I didn't witness that.
I know
No.
there's a story behind that, and I know Legacy tried to paint us as a a really bad light around that, and I know exactly it was a setup, just like so many other things. Same was
Yeah.
somebody tried to light an apartment building on fire in downtown Ottawa in the lobby, and they lit it on fire in the lobby, and they phoned media before they phoned the fire department because they wanted to paint that, and it came out during the POEC that was a staged event. But the media never retracted that story. They never went back on that and told Canadians what actually happened. I believe that we have to keep just telling our stories, and that's why I was so excited to get you two on here tonight, have that conversation and get some stories out. I think there's how
Absolutely.
many people have stories about Ottawa, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And one of the reasons why I decided to sit in my truck tonight was there was a lot of residents from Ottawa and people from Quebec that came up to our windows, like they all did, and many of them said, "Oh, can I sit in your truck?" And I had them sat in the truck, and it just made their day. They'd never seen what it looks like out of the window of a truck, being in a truck, and it just made their day, and they were so happy and thankful, and the smiles, and I'm sure some listeners here tonight might be them and recognize this truck,
And you got the
and they'll
flag
always
behind you.
remember it.
I see a
Sorry.
few signatures on that flag, so tell me about the signatures on your flag.
I know I have many signatures. You're actually on here, Chris.
All right, good.
Yeah,
I've signed so many things over the last number of years.
your signatures on here, but I had lots of the freedom fighters and the people down there. Some people from Quebec, and that's something actually that there was always, from my perspective, the government had believed, there's the east against the west, or west against the east.
Yep.
You know what? There was none of that I witnessed on this Freedom Convoy. A lot of the people that came up to my truck, they were all residents of Ottawa, Quebec. They have biggest hearts. There was no division. It was that being united, and the strength that being united brought us. That's obviously what the government was fearing, because we have power when we're united.
Yep.
And
We were
yeah,
united.
there was many from the east, and so I have lots of there's a Quebec one up there, and lots of thank yous, Yukon, Whitehorse, all over Canada. There's some Americans on here, and they wanted to sign this flag, and it's beautiful.
That is amazing. I never, I was at Big Red a number of times during convoy, but we were so busy running around. This
Yeah.
flag that's behind me has been there for the last. I put it up just before convoy. I didn't have anybody sign it though. I never,
Oh,
that was an amazing idea for that. That
yeah,
flag's got some miles on it.
yeah, yeah, totally, and I cherish everything. And I actually, this evening, I was had a little look, and I was getting someone. Yeah, we all have these, little
Yes.
posters that the children have done, and the thank you cards, and and just a reminder that standing, together, we're stronger together, and we can change the future. And our army is getting bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah, the truth is coming out. It sometimes takes a little while for things to correct themselves, but I believe that the more that we keep showing who we are as, people that took part in it, we're just blue collar people. We're not activists.
Yeah.
We're just workers. We just had enough. I think, we all trucked through the pandemic. We've seen exactly the effects. I had a microwave that was underneath the bed in this truck, and cans of soup that I would open and try and heat up to have a bite to eat. We didn't have food. We didn't have amenities out here when COVID hit. We were left to the wolves, basically, but we didn't complain about it. We just did our job. And after 2 years, it was becoming, I didn't see the end in it. Did you?
No, it was going to keep going.
Yeah.
I would cross the border into North Dakota, and I remember just a day and night difference. You'd cross the border and you could eat in a restaurant. You weren't worried about, following arrows in a grocery store. You weren't worried about wearing a mask in a restaurant until you sat down at the table. No fixing passports. And then all of a sudden you come back to Canada and you got to show an app on your phone to get back into your own country, as well as the passport that you own. I don't know what it would take for more people to wake up, because I'm glad to have been awake back then.
Yeah.
So, Sanch, you're in a driver instructing class in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. You are training the future of Canada's, trucking industry right now. What are your thoughts on where the industry's going and the driver standards out there to this day?
Okay, a tough one. So, we run the school. My husband's been running this, teaching 20 years, this trucking school, and I've been teaching 15 years for the class one, and we've seen a lot of changes. The MELT program, which is the mandatory entry-level program that SGI, Saskatchewan government, have, as well as other provinces, have put together since the Humboldt crash. It's supposed to bring out more training, bring out stronger drivers. For us and our community, 99% of our drivers are in the ag, are farm kids, are farmers. They do come out stronger. However, I want to say there's some customers that we have who just come here, get their training, and it's a wage. We thrive on the old school, old trucking. We have the older Peterbilts and Kenworths, the 2000s, the Cat engines, slow and easy is the way forward. And we put a lot of students through, like I say, that are on the agricultural sector, not so much, east-west on the highway trucking. I think there is a lot of benefit to it, but you need to have that passion for trucking. And I think it doesn't matter if you put 200 hours, 4 months, if you don't have passion for trucking and you're just out there just because it's an easy wage, it's not going to change a thing.
No, and I don't know if I should take the podcast in this direction or not, but I think it's a discussion that has to happen in this country. When I got my trucking license in 1992, it was the week between Christmas and New Year's. My father and I jumped in the car. We drove to Yorkton, Saskatchewan, Van X driving school. I think, 80% of Saskatchewan truck drivers probably went to school at Van X back in the day. It was a 4-day course. And when I got my Class 1A driver's license, it cost me $980. Now that course is 30 days of training. What is it? Just under $10,000 probably?
12,000.
12,000.
Ranges from 10,000 to 14,000, depending on where you are. And actually, my husband was talking about that today. It cost him just under $500. There was a bit of change at Bandex in Yorkton back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
When I came out of that school, born and raised on a farm, drove the grain trucks for mom and dad, obviously, had a lot of experience behind the wheel of driving, and I couldn't find a job. Every place I went for a job, you needed 2 years minimum experience. I was telling the story to a couple the other day. I ended up taking a job with a gravel hauling company, the 24-foot belly dump, electric switch on the bottom of that belly dump. So if you accidentally hit that switch when you were driving, somebody was getting a free load of gravel because you couldn't turn that on. But I learned how to drive on an old 1974 R model Mack. But I looked on the back roads out in the gravel where you're pulling hills, spinning out on hills, turning around in really tight corners, backing up into approaches. It was, I swear that job and that career in my time saved my life, and it probably saved countless of other thousands of people out here on the highway, because it gave me the skills that I needed to learn out on where nobody was around to affect. And I think we lost that.
Yeah. I know with us, we have our vans loaded. We actually got a set of Super Bees now, because 99% of the students that leave here are going to be pulling Super Bees.
Is there a distinction in the license? There's no distinction in the license now, what trailer you pull, if you're listed for heavy haul, if graduated license, that sort of thing. So basically, once you get your 1A, as long as you can find a job, they will throw you in the truck and send you off on the highway.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I believe Alberta's changing that. I'm doing a graduated a graduated program where you can only have certain weight, certain trailers. From what I believe, I haven't looked into it that much.
That would be a good idea.
That makes a lot of sense, right? Like,
yeah, with different, with the weight. But
Jay, what kind of stuff?
I remember you saying, Chris, a few days ago, and we noticed it every day, those black marks on the road.
Yep.
Oh.
Or the crashes. I have a huge problem with the automatic transmission, a part of the side of this industry. If you're coming into the trucking industry, you should learn how to drive a stick truck, and you should learn on that right from day one. But there's two parts to that driver's license, isn't there? You can have an automatic transmission endorsement or a standard. Is that true?
That's right. And we get a lot of phone calls from customers saying, do you have automatics? No. 18 and 30 speed. But you know what? I had a phone call just this week from someone in Toronto, and there's 3 men, and they said, oh, we've seen your Peterbilts. We want to learn in the standard. We don't want from Toronto.
Nice.
Can we come to your school? And I said, really? You don't want to learn in Toronto? No. We want to learn in your Peterbilts. I said, wow.
I should elaborate on the difference why I mentioned the automatic transmission versus the standard transmission. In a commercial vehicle, an automatic transmission will handle so much differently on ice. And when you're out here on the highways in the wintertime at a fresh snowfall, and the first thing you see in the ditch, you don't see the long nose trucks in the ditch. You see the white, we call them Tupperware torpedoes, because they're basically that. They're automatic transmissions, and running cruise control on them is the same thing as a car. You can't, your weight distribution, your shifting truck, it will throw you in the ditch so fast. And if you're not prepared for that, and a lot of these drivers that don't have enough experience are not prepared for that. That's why you're seeing so many trucks in the ditch and so many accidents out there every snowfall.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me when we were all on the convoy, the road conditions were horrible.
They were. Ontario was, we didn't get a snow squall. We missed the snow squall. I remember Blind River was closed when we were coming across Ontario, and we were waiting for the approval, watching the highways to make sure they were going to have the highway open. And that was a little, Montreal Hill there, just outside of Sault Ste. Marie.
Right.
That was a little dicey.
You're right. And Nicole and I, like I said, we went off just going to go to Regina for the night. We had no weight. We're bobtailing, no weight. It was white knuckle. White knuckle there and back.
But how do you put 75 kilometers of traffic in one straight line and not have one single altercation or occurrence all the way across? It was, I believe, we had a higher power watching us the entire way.
Totally. And for Nicole and I mean, I only met 2 other lady drivers when we were actually in Ottawa, but it was just me and her from this way, and from the west. But the guys, the people we met, I consider them all my family. From Panoka, Stettler, Maple Creek, and they were between us, and they were our little guardians. And are you okay? Would check our trucks, would advise us, help us, if we needed anything. It was absolutely wonderful. And I consider this whole convoy and the people I've met in Ottawa and along the way, they're all my family, and I'm in touch with a lot of people still, Yeah.
I still, to this day, and I'm out here in the truck. It's, I'm stopped in a city right now, but I made sure I stopped on a back behind some business residents. I'm in a business district, but hidden out of sight, because I know that there would be knocks at the door for the whole hour that we were on here. So I tried to hide as best as I could, and I think I'm successful so far. So, but when I'm out here, every stop I stop at, I always say that Subway is my Achilles heel, because there's always somebody that was with us on convoy, or somebody that followed us, or supporter that will come up to the truck and knock on the door. Usually when my mouth is full of, of a sub. But it's awesome 4 years later to still be seeing the amount of support that we see out here to this day. I can't be more thankful.
Yeah, totally. And that just shows you how big, we don't realize the numbers out there of us that just keep growing and growing. I was in Costco not long ago, and they saw my hoodie I had made up. Oh, where did you get that from? And started chatting, or can I have one? So I've mailed the lady one, and it just keeps going and going, you know.
It is.
But yeah, but I know those road conditions were glare ice, and it was white knuckle, and it was wasn't good. But we made it.
It was a work of it was definitely we were in somebody's hands. I know that. It was
Totally.
not even to have a close call, I believe. I don't think, I know there's some sketchy tires on some trucks, and I've ran Ontario before. I know that you don't normally take the southern route through 17 in the middle of winter. That is, but when I looked at the maps that we were using to get out there, I'm like, oh boy, we're like 17. Who does that in the wintertime? And the weather broke, and we did take 11 on the way home.
Yeah.
You remember that drive, Sanch? We were stuck in a snowstorm, icy. Oh, I think the conditions on the way home were worse than the conditions on the way out.
Oh, they were. And Brandon was sheer ice. There were trucks in the ditch and trailers, and it was, you didn't touch your steering wheel because you'd be in the ditch.
Sheer ice. Yeah, it was pack ice, Jay. It was coming through Manitoba. I think Nicole can attest to that a little bit. I'm just going to give her a little shout out there, because I'll get a text message from her later, and she'll say, "You're such a turd."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. But going out there and coming back, then the support, like you say, along the road, every single road, there wasn't space left. They kept us going. Hey, they just kept the momentum going, and it just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And you just kept going, pointed your nose east, and
I'm sitting here, like I said, in the middle of. I'm just sitting here hidden from all sight, and one of the trucks from the convoy, the company, just literally drove by and waved.
That's awesome.
I was wondering if he was going to stop. I seen the decal on the door, and so I would have probably turning around. But that's the community we built out here. We built an amazing community all across this country. I look on my social media messages, and it is usually, it's full of messages every day. I can't keep up with it. I honestly can't. And I'm not about to hand it off to somebody else to manage. I'll usually get to the comments, but it's evident that we had an effect on a lot of people out here, judging from the conversations that I still have with people to this day. So I'm a community that we've made.
Totally. And one of the communities, actually, when we were in Ottawa, we decided to go on a little mini convoy outside of the city there. I'm not sure if both of you were in it.
We decided
to drive by the big old people's home, like the retirement home. And that touched me, because I remember, they were all sat at their windows, because obviously back then they were locked in their room. And they were sat in their windows waving, and and again crying, trying to drive, crying, and they're waving out the window at us. And that was something else. And we touched all those little small communities, an area, that was lovely.
There was a lot of wet eyes. I remember the window for everybody that tried to come up to the side of the truck that Tamara was on. Jonathan and Tamara and Zippy were in here. The window still doesn't work properly in the winter time for the Kenworth electric window on your passenger side, so I was never fixed it. So frustrating for Tamara, because somebody would come up and she'd try and roll the window down, and then it wouldn't go back up. So I got to get to that one of these days.
The memories. And my air horn here doesn't work, because I got a very sore throat by the time it got home. I've got another set by a switch now, and it doesn't work. Wore it out.
I still got this one. You ready? I don't know if you can even hear it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, can hear it. Yeah. Honk honk. Honk honk.
One thing that Zippy does not like is the horn. As soon as I grab the horn, I think he's traumatized from Ottawa.
Yeah.
He might be a resident of Ottawa.
Probably. Yeah.
He's under the bed now, hiding.
It's good times. Yeah. Good memories.
Well, awesome. We'll keep it to about an hour tonight. I'm gonna still make some miles. I got a little bit of driving yet to do tonight. I think I still have 325 kilometers on my GPS, and a few hours to go here. So I want to thank both of you for coming on tonight. It was amazing chat. I think we touched all the bases that we needed to touch, did we not? I mean, we could probably tell stories for 3 days.
Oh yeah.
Or 3 weeks.
Stories, couldn't we? Yeah. No, it was great to come on here and share our stories. Yeah,
I appreciate it. Next
Yeah.
week, I don't think Tamara's going to be back next week. We're going to have Michelle Wharton on, and she's part of the vax injured. She's been severely vaccinated and injured, so we're going to have her on.
Oh.
And Ted Klutz is going to be here to help me interview her and get her story out as well. We're trying to do one of those stories every month. So please, everybody, join in next week. I'll have things better set up, so I'm streaming properly, and my laptop will be logged in properly. I'm not even logged into this as admin, so I can't see much of anything right now. But Tasha, thank you so much for running the back
Yeah.
side of it.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Tasha.
Huge
Yeah.
shout out to Tasha.
Yeah,
I
well,
would be
it's great.
lost right now.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, you
Well,
have a good night, everyone. And yeah, it's great to be on here.
We'll log off of this live for tonight. I'll meet you guys on backstage after we end the live. And thanks everybody for joining in. It was a good little chat here. We'll make some more miles yet tonight. So thanks everyone.